I
It
wanted
was
to learn more about this. So, before you stepped into the world of fitness and stepping up on stage,
uh-huh.
what would you say was the first major challenge in your life that truly tested your strength?
Um, wow, that's deep. I'd say probably that's actually kind of easy. It was my first marriage. I not many people know about this, but I was married at 22 years of age, so young, dumb, and stupid. Um, I had met the man when I was 20 years old, right before I turned 21. I was married by 22, and I was divorced either right after or right before I turned 25. It was all full transparency. It was a very, very controlling, very abusive relationship. Every form of abuse you can think of: physical, psychological, financial, emotional, mental, all the things. And it was very, very hard. But one of the things, it's actually kind of what pushed me through nursing school. I'm a nurse by trade. And one of the things that I was called daily was stupid. I was told I was stupid every day for 5 years. And in facing that, I told myself that I absolutely had no choice, but I was going to succeed at nursing because God forbid if something happened, I was going to be able to take care of myself. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that must have been just really challenging. And how did that experience shape you? Like, what were the steps? How did you get out of that into the right path, the right direction?
it, um, what got me out of it was the best mistake I could have ever made. I'm not perfect. I never claimed to be perfect. And truth be told, I cheated. And as soon as it happened, that very night, I came forward. I was honest. I was very upfront. And what happened afterwards is, things that I've had to recover very heavily from. But um, very, very shortly after that, I was, granted divorce papers. And it was very, very manipulative. Like, I want you to sign these, but, for the 60 days that we have to wait, I want you to stay here and be a part of this. And I was like, nope, bye. And it was finally my out. And I know that I never wanted to make a mistake like that again. I hated the way that I felt. I hated myself for doing it. I felt disgusting. I felt horrible. But looking back on it, because at the time I didn't have an identity, I didn't have any self esteem, I didn't know who I was because I had engulfed my entire identity as to being a part, the wife of this person. And instead of being like, I am Anna, I am also so and so's wife. And instead of it being like that, I, I had lost my all self identity. And through a lot of self reflection, a lot of growth, finally kind of came to understand that I have to love me and I am a good person. I make mistakes. You do better. Like, that's all you can do. I have a tattoo on my right wrist, and it is Mandarin. It actually is Mandarin. I've had like 5 people who actually speak Mandarin was like, "Oh, okay." So it's legit.
Yeah.
Um,
What
but
does it
it's
say?
so it says, there's no, like, thorough translation in Mandarin, but it's not more of a proverb. But it's Xinhua, which I've been told by many, many people, the translation basically means, like, to rise above, like, your old person or your old self. So basically, like, grow as a person, be better, like, rise above who
Yeah.
you were. And that's something that I always try to live my life by. I always try to be the bigger person. I don't want to always be the bigger person. I don't,
Yeah.
but I can't help it. Like, I have to be because that's who I am. I have a petty side. Don't get me wrong. I'm not perfect. But that's kind of who I have grown to love me for being me.
Yeah. It's interesting. Anna. I'm heavily tattooed, and my right side of my arm, I've got the phoenix, and the phoenix represents rising above the ashes, as you were saying just before. Some of the greatest lessons in life happen through failure, through hardship, through going through obstacles, and it can be really hard and really challenging. But those experiences and what you had to overcome, are you grateful that those experiences happened to you? Because of look at where you are today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's hard because I did go through a lot, and, some people say, "Well, I might have changed this, I might have changed that." Unfortunately, I wouldn't have changed a thing. And I know I suffered a lot, my family suffered a lot through it, but I wouldn't change a thing because had I not gone through what I did, I wouldn't be the advocate that I am today.
Mm.
Because of what I went through, I am not afraid to stand up to a bully. I used to be terrified. I used to not have a voice, and I have learned through that hardship, I embrace my voice. And there are still moments where like I don't, and that I just kind of like swallow it and just, because I'm trying to tough it out and, get through it. But for the most part, especially for anyone else, I vivaciously uh, will sound my voice as loud as I can, to confront, someone who I know is purposefully being hurt or bullied or anything like that. Like, I'm not afraid of a bully anymore. And
Yeah.
I do not care who you are.
Yes. I think a lot of people that are going to be listening to this as well, Anna, are really going to appreciate what you said. And for those people that are going through a difficult period in their life, what would be your suggestion for a person, say, that might have been in a similar situation for you? It could be DV, or it could be through a terrible divorce. What would your advice be to them?
I'd have a question for them. And it is, who told you? Who told you you were worthless? Who told you you weren't enough? Who told you that? Because if that is something you're telling yourself only because you are regurgitating what someone else said, it's not true. The only person that has any right to judge me is the Lord Almighty. And He died for everyone, so I am worth something. So for someone else, an external source, to look at me and say that I am worthless, that opinion is now invalid because I am worth dying for. And that's, yes, it's very faith based, but that has helped me through some of my darkest times. Because a lot of times when you don't have family, you don't have anyone to go to, and all you have is yourself, sometimes that is what you have. That is all that you have is your faith. And so, and even if it's not you believing in God and it's just the universe or whatever case is, who told you you're not worth it?
Yeah.
And the one thing I have always learned and that I would teach somebody else is that if your self identification, your self identity, your self worth has to come from an external validation, it's wanting. It's not worth anything. You can't weigh words. It has to come from within, because then no amount of words can outweigh your own worth.
Yes. Yeah. Anna, the price of progress is pain. And I can imagine for you and what you had to overcome, how difficult that experience must have been. And can you talk about the steps? What were you doing? Was it meditation? Was it journaling? You were talking about inner work, and obviously you're heavily into the gym, which I know. But what were your daily habits that got you to the place that you are today?
I I desperately needed structure of my own. I needed to find an outlet. The gym was an outlet for me to do something that I enjoyed. Um, And so I started doing that. What I listened to a lot of I went like old school motivational. Like I didn't do like ET and all this I went old school. I was listening to like Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and Ed Foreman, and I'm like way back. And I was listening to CDs and reading books and doing those things just to try and remind myself that like every day I have a choice, and that is to either keep going or be happy. And it took like a solid several years, at least 5,
Yeah.
before I was able to really understand that I didn't the sound of my ex's name, seeing his car around town, like, never fazed me because before I would either be immediately scared, immediate adrenaline rush, or if someone talked about it, I'd get immediately angry and then defensive. And it took years of practicing that before finally I was like, I know what I'm worth. I know I didn't deserve what happened to me. I can also now accept the fact I don't need closure from anybody to know that what happened to me was wrong. It was wrong.
Mm.
I don't need to know why. The reason why is you're a bad person. That's the reason why. And to get to that point takes a very long time. But it also comes from knowing and loving yourself enough to know that I am still, if I'm needing closure, I'm still requiring that external validation. Like I need the weight of your words to say I'm sorry or what I did was wrong still outweighs my self worth.
Yeah.
And getting to that point does take a very long time. But that is kind of what I was doing was going to the gym. And then I found bodybuilding during that time process. And it was very helpful. And what I did notice to start off with bodybuilding was I did start off with that mindset of, I'm going to do this and I'm going to prove people wrong. It was always, I'm going to prove you wrong, prove you wrong. And I remember distinctly being in a amateur show in Atlanta. This was back when I was in bikini because I did bikini, figure, then fitness. This had to have been maybe 2015, 2016. I was in Atlanta. I did a show and I was like, that was my whole motivation, all prep, doing my cardio is I'm going to prove them. I'm going to prove them. I've got this. And I ended up going and winning first place in my division. I didn't win the overall, but I won first in my class. And I was super proud of that.
That's
Ne-
incredible.
But I remember getting back home and having that high and that adrenaline and endorphins and getting home and walking back into the gym and just looking around. And I distinctly remember feeling, what now? Because all of that motivation was gone because it was so external. It wasn't for me. It wasn't prove to yourself. Like, this is your goal. You better make this goal, hit your goal. Like, it wasn't anything like that. And that is at that point in 2016, I was like, okay, now I need to change my focus. I love doing this for me. I can't be doing it for someone else or to prove someone else. And so from then on, it was, I'm going to make this goal. I'll be damned if I'm not going to make it. And it was, and from that point, like I realized I looked back on it, and anytime I had set a goal, I always hit it, no matter what it was. Even if it was briefly, or even if it took longer than I expected, I always hit a goal. And so I wanted to, win first in this show. I hit it. I wanted to graduate nursing school. I was one of only 12 people to do it in, what was it, 1, 2, 3, 4. So in 2 years, I did an associate's degree at first, and you had the opportunity, like you had the option back then. Like if you failed a semester, you could only repeat once. I was one of 12 people that made it all the way through 2 years without failing any courses. Which was astounding at the time because that particular nursing program was what we called Harvard on the Hill. For an associate's program, it was brutal. It had a like 70% dropout rate.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was one of 12 people. We started with a class of 150. We graduated with a class of 60. Of the 60, 12 of us had made it all the way through without stopping.
That's incredible. Well done, Anna. Well done.
So with all of that, then it was, I'm going to graduate with my bachelor's degree from Ole Miss. I ended up going to the University of Mississippi Medical Center, and it took me 2 years, but I graduated with, like, any time I set a goal or set my mind to something, I've never not reached that goal. When I wanted to get my pro card, I probably did 11, not between 9, 10, and 11, like, pro qualifying shows. I
Mhm.
got third place, seventh place, and I got a whole lot of second places, and it was miserable. Always just one spot away. But I was like, I'm not giving up. I'm keep going. And sure enough, after taking the feedback of all the judges, I eventually in 2019 won my pro card at the Junior USA's in Charleston.
Wow. Well
Same
done.
thing. And same thing with winning your first show or making it to the Olympia. It may take me longer than I expect, but I'm not going to give up on it. And so that's one thing that I have learned through this whole process is doing it for yourself and not for external validation is, yeah, it might be that little bit of push that you need, but it is so much more fulfilling when you reach that goal for you. Because when you reach that goal for someone else, the crash is so much harder. And it's so much harder to then get back up there. If
Yeah.
you're doing it for you and you don't make it, you're like, all right, dust yourself off, get back up. Like, it's just so much easier to keep going. When you're doing it for the external validation and you hit it finally, the crash is just it's almost physically painful.
Yes. Anna, I don't know if you realize, and this is the whole point of this channel, to inspire and to give, inspiring stories. And I'm getting goosebumps just listening to you talk. And does it ever hit home for you the impact that you can make in someone's life? Because I think people are going to listen to what you have to say and can reflect on their own life experience. And you have no idea the impact you can make in someone's life. And it's like a ripple effect. And some of the kindest, most benevolent people I've met in my life have been through trauma. They've been through hardship. They've been through severe depression and sadness, but they got out of it. But does that ever hit home that you could possibly have a positive impact in someone's life that you don't know who they are across the world?
Typically, no. The
Yeah,
hope is always that, maybe my hope is always maybe I can make someone smile today. Maybe I can make someone laugh. I am an absolute nutball goof, just goof all the time. That's me. I am sarcastic. I make fun of myself. I do voices. I'm a goofy person. And I am that way because you can't be depressed if you're laughing.
that's true.
If
Yeah.
even if it's for a split second, even if it's for a millisecond. If I can give someone just a hint of a little dopamine to get you away from whatever it is in this world that is troubling you, I'm happy. If I can do something to make someone smile, make someone laugh, make their day just a little bit better, that's enough of an impact to change an entire day. And to know that you could potentially change someone's life, I don't think it will ever register because it seems so far fetched, but it's so reachable. It's attainable because I've seen it because I've had the words of other people do it for me. Um, you know, listening to Ed Foreman, listening to, golly, ET. So many people who have made a huge impact in my life just listening to their words and playing it over and over in my head. Yeah, it can happen, but to think like, oh, that could come from me, it doesn't seem possible. But at the same time, that's kind of what we're all here for, passing it forward.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. So what was growing up like, Anna? Were you always heavily into fitness? I read somewhere that you used to play competitive volleyball.
mhm.
Yeah.
So I I was always a very athletic kid.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in a very country podunk town in Mississippi called Byram, Mississippi, and then moved to Middle Tennessee, Nashville, after I think I was about 30 years old. So I had spent majority of my all pretty much all of my from birth all of it until early adulthood in Mississippi, and I was a tomboy. I was into sports. I loved baseball, football. I was, your camo wearing, basketball playing, you know, dove hunting, just tomboy. I just was. Um, but I was always pretty athletic because both of my parents were like, my mom was a track and field and um, was like, I don't know, baton twirler in the band. And my dad was a football player and baseball player.
Wow.
And the running joke in my family is that we're all linebackers. I'm the tallest person in my family. Everybody else in my family is like 5'6" and below. And it's just funny because everyone in my family, all of the men, uncles, cousins, everybody, they all legitimately played linebacker in football.
Oh my god. Wow.
So, and all of the girls are short and stocky and were cheerleaders. So I didn't do cheerleading. I did basketball and volleyball because I was so tall, but I was still built the same way. So the joke is like, oh, we're all linebackers. And so the second I could find a sport that I could play through school, my dad put me in it like right away. So I played basketball growing up, and then I got into volleyball in middle school and high school, and actually got really good at it really quick. Went in to play intramurals. I went on to play beach volleyball, adult league. I ended up coaching after I graduated. So I played for about 15 years. And that is how I got into the fitness aspect of it, is just constantly being involved in sports, having your summer workouts, summer training programs. So it was something that I'd been doing literally since probably about third grade. Like actually team building portion, I started in third grade.
Yeah. And if we could just take a step back and when you went to the gym for the first time, uh, what was the decision to get in heavily in bodybuilding? Was there a light bulb moment? Did you see somebody that you admired their physique, or were there specific mentors that you had? Like, how did you just decide I'm going to do bodybuilding?
I w s I've pretty much always been like, "Hey, do you wanna do this?" "Yeah, sure, why not?" I was recently divorced, like, less than 6 months. I had gotten into the gym, and, a trainer at the gym that I knew, like, in passing, looked at me one day and was like, "Hey, I'm starting a bodybuilding team. Do you wanna be on my fitness team?" I had no idea what he meant, but I was just like, "Sure, why not?" And so he was like, here's a workout plan, try to do this, this, and this. Here's a meal plan. We're all going to go to this bodybuilding show that's happening next weekend that I'm competing at. So I like got up and I went down to Hattiesburg, Mississippi and watched the Pine Belt Showdown. And I was like, I could do this. And I instantly fell in love with it. So from that point on, I was all in. I was like, this is what I want to do. First time I ever got on stage, I was in bikini. I had 0 expectations. My posing was god awful, and I could not have been more proud stepping off that stage just because I had done something new that I had never done before, and it was like getting bit by a bug. Like, I was hooked after that. I competed in so many shows, way more shows than I probably should have. My amateur years from 2012, 13, all the way up until 2019 when I won my pro card. I was competing in my early years, I would compete between 4 and, like, 9 shows a year.
Wow.
Yeah, like, I was all about it, and it would be everywhere Mississippi, Alabama, Atlanta, Tennessee. I'd go all over the place just because I loved it so much.
That's incredible. Yeah. And you mentioned that the goal is to step on the Olympia stage. Is next year hopeful for you?
I'm pretty positive about it. I took this past year off, um, for a plethora of reasons, but it was probably the best thing that my body needed.
Mm,
And in doing so, I was able taking this year off, I was able to then focus on promoting the actual division of fitness in seminars, in other shows, being able to be there for the other girls, being able to collaborate with girls and getting more, recruiting more girls for shows here in the States, making sure our numbers stayed high so that we wouldn't lose any shows in the future. So those were things that we focused on and that I was able to focus on this year. And then, of course, working on myself, new skills, um, and really kind of remembering why I love doing this so much. And being away from the stage has done nothing but fuel it for this upcoming year. So I'm super excited about it. Um, we have kind of like a general game plan of what we are going to do, but as of right now, my focus is, honing in on my new skills and my routine that I need to pretty much perfect and just staying true to myself with my routine. Obviously, my body is going to do what it needs to do. It's my body typically is very trustworthy if I start far enough out and actually like I'm really bad about like overdoing stuff and not sleeping because I go, 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 go all the time. So, like, if I can stay on my sleep schedule and get the rest I need, my body will do exactly what it's supposed to do.
yeah. It's interesting, Anna. Weight training and bodybuilding can be used as a metaphor for life and how that correlates to failure. If you think about training to failure on a specific exercise, you're doing the exercise until you can't do anymore. It's mind over muscle, and that very much correlates to life. But what has the gym taught you? And what are some of the lessons that you've extracted from the gym, and how do you apply that in life?
I would probably say if you don't like something, change it.
Yeah.
Don't complain about it. Don't bitch about it. Change it. Um, and I would also say that you always have a choice. You might not like your choices, but you always have a choice. I hear it so many times like, no, I don't have a choice. Yes, you do. You just don't like your options.
Yeah.
So
And discipline is something that we are constantly tested for, like comfort. I can count on however many times leg day. I'm like, fuck, it's leg day today. I really don't feel like it. But I know that once I get in there and I start working up a sweat, the workout gets done and I just feel so much better. Is there a part of you that just thinks of staying home on the couch, it's leg day, or a gruesome workout that you've got to get done? For people that kind of can relate to that, you know, just get up and do it. Obviously, people would just say, just do it. But what's some advice on getting over procrastination, even when you don't feel like doing something?
this is something that I can heavily relate to. I, for a long time, for a while back ago, I struggled with kind of some new anxiety and depressive issues where like I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't like once I got home from work, I wanted to shut myself up and be a hermit. And I eventually got to the point where I looked in the mirror and I didn't really like what I saw. And it wasn't just my body, it was just who I was becoming. And I reminded myself, I'm like, the only person who has the power to change what you see is you. Like, your options are change what you don't like, or because it doesn't matter if you look in a different type of mirror, you're still going to see the same thing. So it was a moment where I just said, if I don't like this, I'm gonna have to change it. And so I have severe ADHD, and so I get ADHD paralysis on a lot of times as well. Something as simple as like doing the dishes.
Mm,
So what I've taught myself is literally step by step dopamine hits. So it's very simple. Just get off the couch. Just stand up. Okay. I stood up. Just go make an energy drink. Just go make a protein shake or whatever. I go and do it. So each step that you hit, you become more and more content with, oh, I completed this task. I completed this task. I completed this task. So just get in the car. It literally gets down to like minuscule baby steps. Just get in the car. Just turn on the car. I'm just going to drive to the gym. Um, just, you know what? Just walk for 5 minutes. Just loosen up, walk for 5 minutes. And then it's like, well, you're here. You might as well jump on this machine. And once you get like to a certain point, it just clicks and like, all right, you're all in. Let's go. But sometimes just to leave the house, it literally had to become creating step by step little dopamine hits of completed tasks. Because when you have severe ADHD, you the smallest thing isn't like you would see, oh, I get to get up and then I got to brush my teeth and take a shower. For me, it's like, oh my God, this isn't something I just do. It's a task that I have to complete. I have to finish this task. Neuro neurotypical people don't really see it that way. But it's like, okay, small things. Get up out of bed. Okay, turn off the alarm. All right, just brush your teeth. Just turn on the shower. All right, now just get in the shower. So it's small little things. And by the time you get to the point to where you're like, all right, I'm getting out of the shower, you're already in motion. And it's just an object in motion stays in motion. An
Yeah.
object at rest stays at rest. So you literally have to force yourself to create small little tasks to then start moving, to then create that momentum to get to where you need to go. And as far as like having, motivation or telling somebody else what to do, my best advice, if that is your problem, and a lot of people's like, just get up and do it. Neurologically, sometimes that does not work.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can't just say, just get up and do it. But what you can say is, do this small task first. All right, now do this next small task. Now this next one. Instead of trying to go, whatever you want, go do it here, here, here. Because guess what? It might be slower,
Mm,
but you'll still get there.
yeah. Anna, I think people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 3 to 5 years. I mean, you can even reinvent yourself in 6 months. And what you were describing, those little small tasks that you complete, that's really interesting. I think a lot of people are gonna resonate, um, with regarding their own sort of life and how they can sort of make better daily practices. In, say, the last 3 to 5 years, uh I mean, it's pretty remarkable what you've accomplished, but just like compounding interest, it's a snowball effect, isn't it? It's doing the daily things day in, day out that has such a profound effect on everything that you do. So, in habits and mindset and all the things that you were talking about, what daily habits can people adopt in their own life? Should they have a curfew from social media? Should they have a strict water goal that they hit? What are some of the daily habits that you've adopted that you think people can implement in their own life?
I think having daily goals is huge, even if it's something as small as like, I need to get in 3, 4 liters of water today and like prepping out like, 4 liters or just like refilling their cup X number of times. Um, Having daily goals is huge. But when people ask me like, how do I do this? How do I do that? I tell people, all right, be honest with yourself and list out if you could change anything about you in 7 days. If you can't change, if you can't drop 20 pounds in 7 days, that's not one of the things you need to put down. If there's one thing that you can change about you in 7 days, write it down
Mm.
and then try changing like how many Cokes I drink in a week or how many of these I do. Okay. Try to implement changing one thing for better every week in your life. Just one. And so, say it's I need to cut down on my smoking, or I need to cut down on how many carbonated beverage or Cokes I drink, or Pepsis or Diet Pepsis, or whatever the case is. Okay. If you're drinking 5 a day, how about we cut that down to one and just change it and see the difference just within a week because so many people try to make these fitness goals for whatever is going on and they try to just jump in headfirst into cold water.
Mm.
You're not going to stay that long in it because you're going to be hateful and resent it. Very, very, very low percentage of people jump in headfirst and stay in it for very long. So that's what I try to tell people is ease into it. Once you're in it, it's much easier to speed up the pace, but getting started is the hardest part. So
Mm.
change one thing about your day to day tasks. Give yourself a goal. Give yourself like 1 to 2 goals to meet for that day, but then take away one bad thing a week. So if your goal is to drink more water, write that down. If your goal is to drink less soft drinks or maybe eat, um, more vegetables and less processed food, change one thing about what you do every week, but add in at least 1 to 2 goals every day.
Yeah. What have you come to learn about the benefits of building muscle, Anna? A lot of women, and I think this myth has been, you know, busted, but some women still have this perception that if they lift heavy weights, they're going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And for a woman to lift weights is one of the most beneficial things they can do. Uh, but what is the core what is the core values, or what are the examples of heavy lifting that you impress upon and educate people around you?
It depends on their current ability for weights. And if they're, active, yoga, Pilates, whatever, and they're like, oh, I don't lift heavy weights. I don't want to get bulky. I'm just very honest. I go, you won't.
Mm.
And they're like, well, if you do, no, you won't. No, you won't. I asked them, I go, do I look mean and lean? They're like, no. I go, I lift really heavy when I need to. I'm like, no, you won't. I was like, are you? And I kind of joke around. I'm like, um, are you taking X, Y, and Z supplements? And they're like, God, no. I go, then you're not. You're not. Especially, I'm like, how much are you eating a day? Oh, I'm eating this. I go, you're not.
Mm.
You're not.
Yeah.
So I'm very straightforward when they say, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to get this way. And I just like, you won't. Like, you won't.
Yeah, and it's just physiologically impossible for a woman to bulk up in the same way a man does. But I used to be a PT back in the days, and I used to say to my female clients, "Skinny girls look good in clothes, fit girls look good naked." Sculpting your body and has just such a profound effect. And you were talking about you started in bikini and then now you transitioned into fitness, is that correct?
Uh huh.
Yeah. What was that transformation like for you?
Um, I started in bikini because, it was fairly new. I didn't really know much about bodybuilding. And at the time, that was
Mm.
kind of what my body structure was. But I did my genetically over time, my legs did start to grow. And just because of my family genetics. So I eventually did start to outgrow the bikini division at that time as far as leg size. So they were like, why don't you go into figure? You're going to be more shapely for figure. So I did. I ended up transitioning into it. And after like my first year and a half of doing figure, I actually met Becca Sizemore, who was a fitness pro from East Tennessee. And she had seen my social media and was like, you should really consider doing fitness. And I was like, oh, there's not that many, shows that have fitness because fitness was low in numbers. It wasn't really a lot going on. So I don't really think that I can do that. She goes, well, there's a show in Memphis in 3 weeks. And from Memphis to where I was about a 3 hour car drive. But at the time, I was like, well, I don't know if I can afford it. It's a lot of financial, requirements. And, monetarily, I don't have the financial means to do it. And she goes, hold on 1 second. You're doing the Dexter Jackson is in 3 weeks. She goes, go ahead and choreograph. She's like, I got your entry fee waived, and so is going to help you. Tiffany Chandler is going to help you with your tan when you get there. And
Wow.
I was like, okay. So I came up with a fitness routine She told me what the mandatories were. I came up with a fitness routine in 3 weeks, and I did my first show at the Dexter Jackson Classic. I did a Ninja Turtles routine. It was the worst routine I've ever done in my life, but I loved every second of it, and from that point on, I was absolutely addicted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is coming from someone who had 0 gymnastics background. I played volleyball for 15 years, so I got my ups, I got hops, like, I can jump. But the tumbling, the gymnastics, that was something that I developed over years and years of practice.
Really?
Mhm,
Yeah. Did you go to any specific coach that specializes in gymnastics?
I started going to a gymnastics coach at 33.
Mm. Wow. I was talking to Shelley, on the podcast, and we were talking before we started this. She just recently won the Mr. Olympia, and
Mhm.
she came from a gymnastics background. And what an incredible woman she is, and what she's done. Did you get some advice from her? With some of your competition training.
So, believe it or not, I had already turned pro when Shelly came along. I kind of watched her do her first show,
Uh,
then do the Arnold Amateur, and then win her first Arnold back to back to back. Well, within 4 weeks of each other, and then her pro card and her Olympia qualification within 24 hours of each other. So I it was funny because I was kind of around before she was, and getting to see her, it was always just very motivating to see her and always encourage her to do well, and always knowing kind of, that she was going to do well. Like, as soon as she came onto the scene, it's like, "You're gonna be really good at this."
uh,
And just seeing her develop over time and, take the judges' feedbacks and getting to know her, because I've always known her from afar, but more recently within the last year. So probably June of last year was actually the first time I actually got to compete with her. I competed with her or against her in the 2022 Olympia, and that was kind of the first time we got to like meet and see each other. But we didn't really have much time to see. There was like 20 of us. So, last year in 24, we competed together at the Atlanta Pro, and we actually got to, like, actually sit and talk and kind of grow a little bit better, and then I got to meet her, and I got to see her again this past year at the Atlanta Pro, as well, and just kind of be this year's stage mom, this year's fitness mom, and just be there for everybody. So over the past year, I've really got to know her very well.
uh,
She's an amazing person. She's a phenomenal athlete, and what's funny is what you get on a podcast is exactly who she is in real life.
yeah. Yeah.
And it's so she's so genuine, she's so nice, she's so humble, and I'm grateful that sh she now has a platform to show everyone what fitness is and what it means to be a part of the fitness division, and I'm so, so proud, and it couldn't have happened to a better person.
Uh,
So very, very happy and proud for her.
did you go to the Mr. Olympia this year?
This was one of the first years that I was not able to go. I
Uh,
was originally supposed to be going for a company that was sponsoring and having a booth there. They were going to fly me out there, work the booth, and I was actually going to get to see and watch the girls. But because of tariff issues, financial issues, they were not able to make it. So I ended up not going.
yeah. And Anna, what does a typical diet week look like for you in your off season? Are you trying to grow more muscle? Are you building more?
We're building in the right places. So more
Mm.
glutes, more hamstrings. What food is like, I'm tired of eating.
Yeah.
When I
Yep.
actually recently, most recently, I have had a trouble getting food down, because of my work. My work has been very hectic, very all over the place, and they're floating me to multiple locations, um, which has been kind of a pain in the rear, but soon to be resolved. So hopefully this upcoming week will be much, much easier and much better. But as far as like calorie wise, it's mainly from a metabolic standpoint, getting your body used to high calories. So the second you start taking food away, your body starts responding.
Mm,
Basically, working on metabolic health, hormone health, and growth as far as they want a little bit more density in my middle back, which I think I've been able to pull off. And then just more kind of more definition in my lower backside, which everybody could need. But my problem was that I had no hamstrings or adductors. I've got quads for days, but I have nothing on the backside. So when I get lean, it's like, oh, there's nothing there. You're like, no, it's just really small.
mm,
So
yeah.
growing the glutes, hamstrings, adductors, those were the main focuses of this year.
Yeah. Shelley, I had Frank Zane on the podcast. So Frank Zane competed against Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Uh
He
huh.
actually beat Arnie. I think it was the 1968 Mr. Universe. And I was talking to Frank about a leg workout where you hit legs 3 times consecutively. So you might do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the training is sort of revolving around volume, but hitting the body part for say 4 to 6 reps heavy on the Monday, Tuesday a moderate amount of reps, say 6 to 8, and then Wednesday could be something like giant sets. And I learnt about the 3 day consecutive workout through my cousin Dane. He wrote an article about this, and I told Frank about it, and he knows what the workout entails, and I couldn't believe how sore I was. I was limping for like 5 days straight, just struggling to get up off the toilet seat. It was insane. What are some of the most gruesome workouts that you've done in the past?
I will say this for the longest time, I had gotten away for years from just squats. From just barbell squats. I'm 5'9". I do not have short femurs at all. So I can't do your typical barbell squat. I have to
Mm,
do a low bar squat and I can't do a narrow stance. So I have to go a little bit wider. I got down to just doing I was like, I looked at my protocol and it required, he's like, all right, we're going to go back to regular squats. I was like, you're sure? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right. After my first workout, I was sore for like a solid 4 or 5 days, and I was
wow.
like, but because I had just and it's just the one exercise. The muscles have been working, and I can do hack squats, I can do pendulum squats, I can do all this all day long. He put me under a regular bar, and I went back to old school low bar squats, and I hurt so bad for like a solid 4 days.
Yeah.
And I think it was just the sheer shock of going back to an old school move that I just was not prepared for mentally or physically.
Yeah. Did you ever see that video of Tom Platz? Do you know who Tom Platz was?
Uh-huh.
Or
I
is, I
do.
should say? Yeah. There was a video of him. He was squatting, I think, over 500 pounds for reps of 25 or 30 or something like that, and full range, ass to grass, hamstrings come all the way down to the calves. Did you see that video?
Was it the front squat that he was doing?
It might have been the front squat. I can't remember, all back squat. I can't
I remember
remember.
I remember seeing a video of that with him doing that with front squats.
Yeah, yeah, incredible. It's yeah, insane. Um, what would you say is one brutal reality about the fitness world that no one told you about?
That's actually a really good question. Honestly, the one I don't know if I'd call it brutal. My answer is probably not gonna be what typical people would say, but the one brutal thing is that I hate to do is dealing with egos.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't necessarily always mean the competitors, sometimes I mean the coaches,
Mm,
because I'm a very, like, science-based type person, I'm not a bro school person. Like, if that's how you wanna train, by all means train, like, if it works for you, whatever, fine, go. Um, But one of my things that I've known on my Instagram for is my rants and calling out poor, pitiful behavior because I do not like it. And having to deal with some of these egos, and I'm in a position where like I have to be cordial and I'm trying to be professional all the time. But this this has a filter for the most part.
Mm,
This does not at all. So, the most brutal thing that I have learned within bodybuilding is that you're going to come across a lot of egos and you're just going to have to let them be.
mm, yeah.
And for someone who's very used to just speaking her mind, that's very hard.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people would relate to that as well. Yeah. If you could talk to your younger self, Anna, on everything that you've accomplished thus far, what would you say to her?
just wait.
Just wait.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. There's no roadmap on how to navigate our way through life. You know, it's just trial and error. You just learn as you go. And sometimes it can be very difficult to find what your purpose is in life and where your passion lies. And I was talking to somebody the other day. People always say, follow your passion. And I think to some extent, yeah, that makes sense. But a lot of it's bullshit. I think you need to get good at a skill and your passion comes out of it. You can't just say, yeah, I'm passionate about the violin and you've never played the violin in your life.
Mhm.
You learn how to play the violin and then your passion comes out of that. But what do you think? What would you suggest for, say, parents out there, or just anyone in general that is having a difficult time figuring out what their purpose is? Where should they start?
Honestly, um, you always want to start with something that you enjoy. But when you figure out what you enjoy, the next question should be, why do you enjoy it?
Mm,
Because do you enjoy it because it makes you feel good and it's fun? Or do you enjoy it because, someone else said that you looked good? Or it's because this is what this person's doing? Do what you enjoy, but it's very hard, especially for young people, to be very realistic. Like, I'm going to go to school for kinesiology and then I'm going to be a full time fitness instructor or I'm going to be a personal trainer. And I'm like, is that what you love to do? Oh, no, I love working out. Okay. Is there anything else that you like? Well, I like numbers. Okay. Have you ever thought about going into accounting and then just being a bodybuilder? Like, just finding out what you love. But then the second question should be, why do you love doing it? Like, if you love, like, I want to be a full time trainer. Why? I love helping people reach their fullest potential. Wonderful. That's a wonderful reason why to get into something. Um, and it's just, it's always the why.
mm,
Why do you love this? Why? Why do you love it? Um, is the why positive or negative? Does the why build you or hold you back? Can you grow into the why? Those are probably some of the things that I would ask.
yeah. And what would you say has been the biggest milestone or accomplishment in your career so far?
Honestly, I'm very proud that I did accomplish qualifying and competing at the Olympia in 2022. But I would honestly have to say that my biggest accomplishment in my career was making the decision and having the ability to become the voice and spokesperson for the division and
Mm,
being the stage mom for everyone this year. Being able to my biggest accomplishment was bringing a voice to the division this year, bringing eyes to the division. being able to show up to all of the expos, all of the shows, all of everything, getting to talk to Adela Garcia and, you know, um, Linda Murray and the Wings of Strength production team, and having all of those people have my back and wanting to support the division. Like, yes, it's great that I accomplished something, but what makes me feel the best is accomplishing what I wanted to for the division, because it's not just about me. Because
Mm.
without me, there will still be fitness.
Yes. Yeah. It's been an honor, sitting down and having a chat with you, Anna. Yeah, I think a lot of people are really going to resonate with what are the things and the things that talking points that you've actually just, you know, jotted down. It's pretty amazing the transformation and the period of time it's taken you to get to where you are, and what a remarkable person you are, and what you've achieved and what you've overcome. But I've got one more question for you, Anna. What do you hope your story will inspire in others who are facing their own battles?
Be the person you needed
Be the person you needed. Yeah,
and be that person for someone else.
yeah, yeah. Amazing, Anna. And you're on social media.
Mhm.
So whereabouts can people find you?
I'm on Facebook, just as Anna Adams, but I'm also on Instagram, and it's Miss. Dot. I said what I said.
Yep.
And then I think, I have a TikTok, but I really rarely ever use it, but I'm gonna try and start, like, promoting more on it. But
Yeah.
it's just, Anna underscore Adams underscore IFBB.
Yeah. And you have a
Mhm.
YouTube channel as well, don't you?
So we're yes and no. We're collaborating with the, Beyond we're doing a podcast through, Beyond the Stage. So it's their YouTube, and then we're gonna have a weekly podcast on it about the fitness division.
Yeah. And have you found the podcasting space? Because you've done a few podcasts. How do you find it?
It's definitely helpful. I love being able to reach out and kind of communicate with several different, groups of people
Yeah.
about several different topics and subjects. So
Mm.
I find it very, very helpful.
Yes.
So
Yeah. I had Marie Blanchard on the podcast. I don't know if you know Marie, and we were talking about the possibility of her maybe coming to Australia. But have you been to Australia? Would there be any potential to maybe compete over here?
if there was an opportunity to compete in Australia, I would do whatever I could to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have currently there are 3 IFBB Pro fitness girls, fitness women in Australia.
Mm.
We have 3 Australian fitness pros, and I'd love to see the girls there. I'd love to compete there. I remember when there was the Arnold Australia. I hate that obviously after 2020 they got rid of it, and that would be something that I would absolutely love to do.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to have you over here, Anna. I still chat to Marie, and I think it'd be amazing if both of you came over here and competed. And yeah, I mean, the level of talent that's just all over the place. I mean, it's just remarkable. And what better way to just share that and spread more, more, I guess, opportunities. To see different talents. I think it'd be amazing.
I think it would be a ton of fun. I definitely would be down for that.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you again, Anna. And I'll speak to you soon.
Absolutely.